Hello viewers, today we're going to be changing out the ceiling fan in the bedroom. We're going to be replacing this, what is the brand? Fias Murray? Furry Mias? I don't know, whatever the heck the brand is. We're going to change that out and install a Casablanca. Ooh, Casablanca. This fan is not going out of rotation just yet. That's going to be moved to a couple different locations in the house before I give it back to Kevin, who owns it. I don't typically have a lot of nostalgia for Casablanca. There's only a few models that I recall seeing years ago, but this is one of them. Back in the early 2010s, which is kind of crazy to think that that's old enough to become a nostalgic time period, but it is. That was 15 years ago, and I can tell you the world is very different now than it was back in the early 2010s. But anyways, back in the early 2010s, we went on vacation to the Florida, which was unusual. And in the hotel we stayed at, there were ceiling fans in each room, which is also unusual. There were 2 fans in each room. One was on the inside and the other was on the balcony. The fans on the inside, I believe, were these. I do have pictures. I'll show some pictures of those fans when I do the full video on this. Also get some good pictures of the graphics on the box when we do the full video on this. If this was not what was in the room, it's something that looks exactly identical to this. I think Emerson might have made a model that was similar to this, so maybe this is wrong. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, this fan reminds me of that vacation. I also like to use light colored fans in the springtime. So we're going to be switching to a lot of white and brass or even all white fans over the next month or two. And I like to do that because those color schemes give the room a nice light, fresh feel, which is what springtime is supposed to produce. Unfortunately, this year, spring is not producing that. It is still absolutely bitter cold out. It dipped below freezing last night, and there are several days in the 10-day forecast where it dips into the low 20s. So despite being astrologically springtime, the heat is on and the windows are shut. And all these fans that we're going to install are probably not even going to get used because it's just too stinking cold. But life must go on, so we're going to install this fan anyways, even though it's too cold. And I just realized that I did not get something to open this with. Now I have something to open it with. I can't tell if this has been opened or not previously. It looks like there's 2 sets of tape on here, which is not correct. So we'll have to check everything before we begin to make sure that nothing has been tampered with and no parts are missing or damaged. Do not open with a sharp instrument. Oh well. This does not feel like a Casablanca product. This has such a weird, the graphics are just so simple and basic, and I would have expected something like this on a cheap economy grade fan from Walmart or something. It just doesn't feel like that refined, expensive Casablanca brand. Another fine ceiling fan by Next Generation by Casablanca Fan Company. I suspect this probably dates back at least to the early 2000s, if not the 90s. Nice full paper manual. Good size to it as well. Why is that zoomed in so much? And again, we'll go through the manual in more detail in the full video. I'll take pictures of this so that it can be seen. It uses this mounting system. I was hoping that maybe something better would have been designed for this, but nope. I think that Hunter made one of the best flush mount brackets. This is dated January of 1994. So this is getting up there in age. It looks like everything is still in decent shape. This is kind of messed up over here. I'm not sure what's up with that. And all this close-up stuff you're going to have to switch over to the regular camera version for, because the GoPro camera, it just doesn't focus close-up enough to pick up these details. That's why we record this twice. You can tell this is old. The plastic is so much thicker than what you would get now. And this is a very average economy grade ceiling fan mounting bracket. I don't want to say difficult to work with, but not quick to work with. It's a stupid balancing kit. What a waste. What that junk is in there. Now this does not have concealed hardware, which, if I recall correctly, the one at the hotel did. So maybe either it just was a completely different fan or it was a newer version. Delicious. Still has brass hardware, which is nice. Here's the switch cap. Here's a piece of styrofoam. And here's the motor and the motor housing. It is only a 75 watt motor, which is not very strong. It's moderately thick though. This is probably a, I can't tell if it's a might be a 172 motor. It's not too bad. Something hasn't aged well in here. Let's get all that junk out of the box. All right. Got the wobbly stool. Let's begin taking this out of here. This is a great fan. I would not be surprised if this fan actually moves more air. I think it's coming to be that the Murray Theus brand is highly underrated. Everything that Kevin and I have tested from this brand has been very, very good. I'm gonna have to take off the light shades anyways, because the motor housing will not come off with them attached. I suppose the other option is I could just drop the switch housing, but we'll just take this off. Not a big deal. We're missing some of the light bulbs. I think I took them to use in the fans downstairs. These light shades were passed through the dishwasher and they cleaned up very nicely. So that was good to know. These do fare well in the dishwasher. Or at least this particular set that I cannot guarantee that all of them will, but these did. Certainly much better than cleaning them by hand. Okay. Oh, this is dusty in here. I gotta clean this room up. Why is that not coming out of there? The screws don't go in very deep at all. Alright, what do we got? One screw there. Okay. Oh no. The whole stinking lights have to come off to get this detached? That's kind of a nuisance. I didn't remember that. Or is it? I don't like the sound of that at all. Oh, this is not good. Oh. Shoot, this is stuck. Okay, that's not great. At least the whole thing is it appears to all be twist lock screws. Well, I guess in retrospect, I probably should have just left the shades attached because I had to remove the whole thing anyways. Alright, now we have this, which I think I'm actually going to go get something else to use with this because we have to do this on the other bracket as well. And it's going to take a long time to do with the adjustable wrench. So I'm going to go get something that is better. I'll get an extension for the screwdriver, like with a screwdriver handle. I think this might work. This was a set that I bought at a flea market because I needed to take apart a ceiling fan before I could fit it in the car. And for the whatever $2 or $3 I spent on this, I have more than gotten my use out of this over the years for getting that ceiling fan home and a whole bunch of other projects in between. So let's see if this will fit. Oh, that almost just broke. Someday we'll get that to break completely and then we can rebuild it. Should we get a third camera and have a wobbly stool angle? Duh. Yeah, that is a landslides better than trying to deal with the doing it with an adjustable wrench. It would have been goofy. This makes a lot more sense. Just having issues with the switch still. Okay. Actually, the motors are about the same size. This one I think is a little bit thicker, but they're similar. All right, we had a washer fall. Most of these washers are stuck on here pretty good, but I don't want them to be because they might get lost. Oh, come on. Really? Okay. All right, that's good. Let's get the bracket down. Massive bracket. I don't know if the switch is turned on or not. Just make sure that this does not pull any of these things off as we go. No, I don't really care if the power's on or off. There's my lovely ceiling. I need to replace the drywall around all these boxes. They were all screwed up, and some of them got a little bit worse. when I replace the things, but it's what it is. Here's what the bracket looks like. Pretty standard. Alright, it looks like we're going to have to put some washers and grommets inside the mounting hardware of the motor. So this is not super user friendly in that sense. A lot of steps here. Gosh. This has to be, I think it mentioned this in the book. Yep, there we go. Oh, it's a good thing we checked. There's rubber bushings to go in as well. Are there some? I've seen these on Furry Mias before as well. So that piece goes on top, the washer goes on the bottom, and then we have to get. So these all go in like this. These grommets are still somewhat soft, but if we find that this is very noisy, it might be that those need to be changed. And these bumpers are already on there, so there's no more steps to do there. None of this is difficult. It's just there's just a lot of steps compared to other stuff that was much more budget friendly, like the Hampton Bay Quick Connect. There's a lot to be said about the Hampton Bay Quick Connect because it brought ceiling fans into the hands of DIY people that otherwise wouldn't be able to either afford it or understand or accomplish the task. And quite frankly, for the people that like the contractors and stuff that bought them saying, oh, these are junk. Oh, jokes on those people, because they're probably all still running to this day. And they worked very well also. Here's a picture of the information tag. Yeah, I should actually take a picture of this to put into the other video. Hopefully that was clear. So we have the infamous hook here. Oh, it says it right there. It's a 153 by 16 motor. So not much for a 52-inch fan. That's kind of like builder grade size. 153 by 16. That's small. And I'm going to take a picture of that too, because I'm going to forget what it is. Okay. Oh, now this is in like, it's not going to autofocus anymore, is it? This is one of the things I hate about this camera, and maybe this is a lack of knowing how to use it properly, but if you make any manual adjustments, you got to stop and start all over again. Otherwise it will not autofocus anymore. And I have to edit this video too, which is a waste of time because I either don't know how to use the camera or the operation of the camera is stupid, and I think both are entirely possible given the product category this is. We don't have a light on this, probably never will, but we're going to connect it anyways. Why the heck did I make this so short? I gotta go upstairs and push more wire through into this box. This is hardly any slack to work with. Now, granted, with these goofy things you don't need a lot of slack, but it would still make it easier to have it. I guess we're about to find out if this is live or not. Actually, no, I guess we're not going to find out because the fan switch is not connected, so it's not going to run regardless. Alright, let's push these back up into here. And this is very important to do with a flush mount because you don't want the wires to get caught on the motor and then make noises during operation. Okay, that just jammed up here. How did that happen? It looks like this is caught up on that. This hole is so small, I can't even fit a couple of these in between there. I think it's just gonna sit like that. Oh, that's not good. Listen to those bearings grind. Hopefully that goes away with some operating hours. Well, I suppose on the other hand it doesn't matter because it's too cold to use the fan regardless. Now, how many Hampton Bay fans have we opened new in the box that make no bearing noise whatsoever? Does that quick connect in the kitchen make any bearing noise whatsoever? No, it doesn't. Oh, you're kidding. What a stupid design. This is not long enough to be able to even access those things with the driver. Very, very poor design. This is not user-friendly at all. I don't like the design of this. It's not user-friendly. Even just doing this by hand is difficult to reach it because there's so little space. This is one of the reasons why I don't like Casablanca. I don't think that the hang false canopy system is easy to use at all. In fact, I really don't like the hang false canopy. And now I don't like this system either. The Murray face we just removed has a very similar system, but it's much better designed. This is very poorly designed. So we have to use a wrench. I don't even think that, no, a ratcheting socket set wouldn't even fit in there because there's zero clearance. This is dumb. This is a very, very poorly designed bracket. And you know, for the price of these things, to not use an extra 1 cent of material to extend this out to here so that this becomes easier to use is just unacceptable. Well, unfortunately for Casablanca, this fan is further curing my opinion as to why I don't particularly like Casablanca fans and why I don't think that it's a very good product. Ease of installation is a huge factor, in my opinion, when it comes to ceiling fans. Consider this too. If you're hiring an electrician to do this and he works by the hour, you don't want it to be difficult to install. Those are not all the way tight, and I don't care. Very stupid design. I don't like it. It's not okay. All right, now we'll put the motor housing on. I think we need some new hardware for that. Those are the blade screws. those are the motor screws. And I think in here we have the infamous staple. I think that these are the screws. I think that they're going to tell me to put a lock washer in between this as well. No, it doesn't say to use any washers or anything. These are horrible looking screws. What the heck? Look at the heads of some of these. They're all tarnished and this one's super jacked up. Very, very poor quality hardware. And this is what they're supposed to look like, I imagine. And this is what half of them look like. Very disappointing. And you might see something like this at a Hampton Bay as well, but Hampton Bay cost a fraction of this. Oh boy. This is stuck to here. That's not usually a good sign. Fortunately, this is just a finish that could be repainted if needed, but it is not damaged. Alright, let's get this bland motor housing up on the ceiling. This is not aligning nicely, but that's not a fault of the fan, that's a fault of I can't see it. Really? Shouldn't be that difficult, it's just a one stinking hole. There it goes. Alright, now we got to make sure this is somewhat centered over the motor like that. I don't like when hardware comes already screwed in. Again, it's just an extra step that adds time, extra step for something to go wrong, like a screw to fall from the ceiling. And all the other screws are in the bag. Why can't these screws be in the bag as well? It's dumb. Alright, since the switch housing is off, I think it's going to be a safer option to install the irons prior to the installation of the switch housing. There's your switch housing. Go with that. So this has some washers included. Where do the washers go? The washers go on top of the blade. Those were already on the motor. Whatever. I don't care. It's a stupid Casablanca. This is already kind of busted. Oh, that's an unappealing shade of oak. It's like gray. I'm surprised for the 90s they didn't do something better than that. I don't think we're ever going to use that. Well, right out of the box, we have some defects here. Quite a few defects, actually. It might be... Can't tell if that's paper sticking to it or what that is. But not perfect. Going to make sure that we save the staple for whatever psychotic reason there might be. Oh, it has the instructions on the bag. That's kind of cool. I heard the staple fall. I'll give it that. That's a nice feature to have. Although it actually doesn't tell you... Okay, so it doesn't even tell you the order of installation. And it says, extra screws and washers will be used for preparedness.
Okay, so if that told me where the washer went, then I would have liked that, but it doesn't even tell me where the washer goes, so I guess that's not as nice as I thought initially. Well, the staple just disappeared. Oh no, here it is. Here it is. Okay, got a snug one. That would have been catastrophic. We had to stop everything and look for it. Some of these screws are jacked up on the blades too.
It just wasn't very good quality screws that were used.
That was not tapped properly.
I don't know, there's some pretty serious issues going on here for a top-of-the-line supposedly brand.
And I'm sure this probably wasn't the, this was a lower end model, but I doubt it was inexpensive.
Second one is not machined properly. Should not be. I guess this isn't as bad as I initially thought. Actually, it kind of looks nice with the wall in here. Alright, I'm gonna eat my statement about this being an ugly finish. It's not too bad, but
it does have a grayish tone to it, which I would not have expected out of the 90s. This looks like something that you would see today. Well, maybe not quite as bad. It still has a little bit of color to it. Alright, so we're going to use this and this for preparedness, but here we go again. This is not manufactured very well. Look at how oblong the, it's not drilled in the center. Now maybe once we turn this on, my opinion will improve, but thus far, I am not really impressed with the quality of this thing. I don't think that this is manufactured to a very high tolerance. And the design of the mounting bracket is just downright atrocious. Oh, here's another staple. Got to make sure that we keep that for some psychotic reason. Never know, you might gotta hold some pieces of paper together or something. This would do the trick. Oh, that one just fell. Well, I guess we'll just cancel it out because I don't think I was going to reuse it anyways. And again, with the coloring of these screws, some of these have some very dark spots like they're tarnished. Disappointing. No AccuArm, so this is a total shot in the dark to get these irons on here. Telling you, that AccuArm is one of the most underrated inventions ever in regards to ceiling fans. It is a complete game changer for the installation, and it would have got this blade up there in a matter of seconds. When you have to align these holes up with zero guidance, it results in screws falling and mistakes, and it's just an issue that could be avoided. Some of the paper is sticking to the blades here, which that I'll give it a pass on because it was never intended to be inside that packaging for 30 years. But I will not give it a pass on not having AccuArm. Every ceiling fan should have had AccuArm. And whoever invented AccuArm is brilliant. I'd rather install a fan with AccuArm over this any day. Should have had AccuArm, that wouldn't have happened. Now we have a missing screw because there's no AccuArm. And this isn't as bad because we've got carpet. When you have a hard floor, the screws just bounce and disappear. Should have had AccuArm. Every ceiling fan should have had AccuArm. Alright, now we got to put the inaccurate switch housing back on. And it's not even a twist lock like the Furimius was. This has to be screwed in individually with, while you're trying to hold it there. This gets a 0, in my opinion, for design and ease of installation. There's really not much about this that's correct. This should have had twist lock, up, turn, locked. Then you can tighten it, but it doesn't. We have to insert each screw while it's up there manually. Now there's no light, so this isn't as bad, but if you had a light on there, and all that's just dangling by the wires, no good. No good. And I'm sure that it takes a little bit of force to hold it up there, so now it's this stupid balancing act trying to get the screws in while holding this in place. Not happy with this installation at all. Very, very difficult to install. Okay, now we just have to put the chain on. Hopefully that's simple. Yeah, that seems pretty simple. Not that anything of this was complicated, but it's just lousy design. We'll leave it at that. Lousy, non-installer friendly design. Okay, it's installed. Let's see if it even works. See how loud the bearings are. It's not working at the moment. There it goes. That's loud. A lot of motor hum. Airflow's okay, but nothing impressive. Alright, well that's a wrap for this much more difficult and time consuming than it needed to be installation. I can still hear some motor hum on low. Alright, let's pack up the rest of the stuff here. sure why there's so many washers and things left over. There were already these bumpers on there, so I'm not sure what those are for. For preparedness. Delicious. There's the staples. Put those in there. For whatever psychotic reason there might be. Alright, installation complete. No, it's not. This belongs in here. Now it's complete.